everyone. Javellah Dusengemungu, as most of you know. I was born in '93 in June on 18th. I'm the third born within the family of 6 siblings. My dad is a minister in Anglican Church, and of course I'm married to Daniel Ojambo, the best husband in the world. And I was born just a year before the genocide that happened in Rwanda, and of course, not really actually a year, it was like 10 months before the genocide. So during the genocide I was the youngest at home, and it was not an easy time, but God preserved us. We still walk in the history, but one of the biggest things that I can say about that moment is that we have seen the hand of God. Of course, I know it through stories, but I think maybe I'll talk about it when I start to talk about the ministry that I was involved in. But that, when we talk about genocide, for me, that is one of the things that encourages me to do the ministry, because that played a big role for us to survive the genocide, because it's people who my dad was serving that helped us to be safe in that horrible moment. We lost a big family. I lost so many uncles and cousins and aunties, but we really thank God that He preserved us. He preserved my dad, my mom, me, and my 2 siblings that were born then. And after that, God gave us even more. So we praise God for that. Growing up, of course, it was a Christian family, and one of the most important things that I knew that I've been taught, was church. To be in church, to go to church every Sunday, to be part of the church, to sing in the choir, or serve in any way. And as most of ministers teach their children, that's very important. I don't remember my dad or anyone in the church explaining to me about the salvation clearly, that I would have been able to know that I am saved, to know that I have faith in the salvation. So my most important thing was to be part of the church, to sing in the choir, as I say, to be in the ministry. So in high school, primary high school, I was always involved in the ministry. Most of the times I was leading other students' groups. And for me, that's all I knew. And I remember it was still not enough. Deep inside me, I knew something is missing, but I didn't know what it was. As maybe most of teenagers, I was not very happy. I remember at my young age, sometimes I would feel so sad and, ask myself, why did my parents or me survive the genocide? Oh, why am I so sad? Or maybe it's because I know that I've lost a big family. Or, I would just look for that thing that makes me sad or not satisfied. And it was really hard to know what it was. those moments, most of the times, would just come at night. And during the day, I was a shining star. I was serving as a student and in church. Most of the times, actually, people would call me a pastor, mama pastor, and people really thought that I was perfect. I remember one time in high school, my friends were in a bus coming to school, and then they had someone in the back saying that I'm his girlfriend. And they almost fought in the bus because they were like, that guy is too perfect. He can't even afford to have a boyfriend. So people thought that I was perfect. But the saddest thing is that whenever I could hear those stories, it would just, inside in me, feel like judgment over my life. Because I knew I was not perfect. As much as I wanted to be perfect, I was not perfect. And it would hit me over and over again. It would pain me a lot, and I didn't know what to do. To cut the story short, in 2011, I remember I was 18. We had a day of prayer. It was a Wednesday, I remember, because that's the day that we used to pray at school. And that day I really cried. I really cried to God that He takes this pain that is in my heart away, the pain that I couldn't even explain. I had parents, I had siblings, I had a stable life. I can say that I'm one of the children that were really loved when they were young. I was really loved when I was young, but I had that pain and sadness in my heart. So that day I really cried to God. I was like, God, take this pain away. And after those prayers, one friend of mine came to me and talked to me. I think he had seen that I always cry, and that cry is not just a joyful or a normal prayer, crying or tears for prayers, for just prayers. And he asked me what's wrong. He was like, you look really sad. What's wrong? And for the first time, I was able to open up to someone and say, I feel a very big gap in my heart. I feel really sad, and it really pains me. And I feel like judgment inside in me that I can't explain. I try to do everything. I try to serve in the church. I try to serve in this ministry, students ministry, but I still feel that pain. And he asked me a crucial question that then was really insulting. He asked me if I'm a Christian. Are you saved? Do you have Christ in your life? And I was like, what? That's insulting. I was born in a Christian family. I'm a pastor's daughter. I've been serving for my whole life. Why would you ever ask me that question? And then he realized that I'm insulted, and he changed. God bless him. He was so wise. He changed the question. He was like, yeah, sorry, but that's not what I meant. And he asked me another question. He asked me, are you married to Jesus? And of course, an 18-year-old girl, marriage caught my attention. And I kept quiet. Then he explained. He explained about judgment and justification and Jesus and redemption and the forgiveness of sins and the assurance of the forgiveness of the sins. And I just felt like that's what I needed. And that day, that Wednesday in 2011, I received Christ, my own Christ, not my dad's, not my church's Christ, but my own Christ. I started my journey and my relationship with Jesus. And since that day, that burden that was on my shoulders went away. And since then, my nights are full of joy. And yeah, that's the most important part of my Christianity. and I'll talk a little bit about the ministry. So as I told you, growing up in a Christian family, our life was not perfect, especially if you are African, you know, being a pastor or minister in Africa, it's not always easy, and of course it affects your family. So one evening I was talking with my sisters, we were still young then, maybe young teenagers, and we talked about our past, things we have seen in our lives and where we want to go. We talked about so many things, but one of the things I remember, we said, let's promise each other that none of us will take Daddy's path. Not because it was really bad, but it has brought so much complications in our lives. If you know what I mean, those sleepless nights, there is someone who had issues and Dad had to go, or he had to come over, and you all had to go away. Those cookings that you finish to cook, and then people pumping in the house, and you go cook again, and it was a complicated life. And we promised each other that we are never taking that path. So we say two things. First, we won't marry a pastor. We will never marry a pastor or do any study that is related to theology. And we made that promise among each other. And in 2014, I finished my high school. And in 2015, God opened a job in our church, in Anglican church in the Diocese of Kigali, as a youth. That time I started as in the ministry of girls. I worked in the ministry of girls for 6 months, and then after 6 months, they asked me to work with the whole department of youth and children. It was an excellent job. I loved it. I loved everything about it. But in my heart, and in my head, because I knew the promise we have made to each other, that was just a way to pass my days, to spend my days, get some money to fund my university, and then start my business. I used to love business, and then start my own business. And then 2 years later, I think I was almost graduating from university. This group of pastors came to my workplace. It was a group from Kenya, and it was youth pastors, and they came for a retreat. So because they were youth pastors, and what I was doing is ministry of youth, they asked me to be their kind of guide, show them around if they need anything, and also share with them the ministry we do. And then I did so. But little did I know that one of them was going to make me betray my sister's promise. That was Daniel Ojambo. That's when I met Daniel, and we became friends. We started to talk. He went back to Kenya, but again, 2 years later, he asked me to officially betray my promise to my sisters. He asked me to marry him, but a bit before he asked me to marry him, he asked me to come to Tyndale. He knew I didn't want to do theology, but he's just brave. He asked me in a very kind way, would you ever consider to do theology? You know, you've been doing that and that, you've been in ministry for so long, maybe it would just add some knowledge. And the day he said it, actually, it really hit my head, because I really wanted to go further in my studies, but I didn't know what to do. I remember there is a day I was going to do a master's back home, and then I met a neighbor. I told him I'm considering to start do master's, and he was like, I think you should wait a little bit. I think you need to take a bit more time to think of what you really want to do. And then when Daniel asked me if I would consider to do theology, my heart was 100% sure that's what I'm going to do. And it really hit me because I didn't know how to tell it to my sisters and my family and myself. But to cut the story short, I said yes, and I approached Tyndale, and they welcomed me with open arms. And I can never compare the knowledge and growth that I've had from this place. May God bless you so much. It's worth it. It's worth the betrayal of my sister's promise. And also marrying Daniel, this life of mine has changed. My life has been transformed. Actually, it's I'm on just that journey of transformation each day, and this is a very divine and good and a beautiful transformation that I'm going through. I'm really thankful again for Tyndale and everyone who do a lot for us and me to be able to learn and grow in faith. May God bless you so much. I don't take this for granted. May God bless you, and may God also bless you, my dearest husband, for helping me to be here, for convincing me, and for loving me, and for marrying me. You are the best husband. May God bless you all.